Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I am so grateful that you're here. This is the daily medicine transmission for August 26, 2021. And the revelation of new potentials does not come without some manner of chaos. Boy, oh boy, Eris, the dwarf planet that's even further out than Pluto, is right here with us today. The moon is going to meet Eris in a conjunction at the very, very same time that it squares Pluto retrograde. We have Mercury in Virgo in a trine to Pluto today. Venus is in an opposition to a retrograde Chiron. Gosh. I'm so there's just so much moving through right now that it's a little bit difficult to, have it be articulate. So welcome back. Welcome if you're new to the channel. Thank you for being here. Either if you are a consistent and regular viewer, a subscriber, or if you're new to this channel, it's great to have you here. And as always, whenever you interact with this content by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing, it actually does support the channel and the, the AI algorithm that decides whether or not this information is worth spreading to a larger audience. So when you actually interact with this content, it does support it in that way. So let's get right into the transmission for today. I hope everyone is doing well. So a couple of housekeeping things. Number one, I know the lighting is terrible, but it's so bright out that if I open my curtains to the window that's right in front of me, I will be blinded by the light. And so that's okay. We're going to be looking at different imagery anyway as we move through this transmission. Also, I am offering a flash sale until Labor Day, the 6th of September. So if you book between now and Labor Day, the lunar transit reading, you can find it on my website. It's linked in the description box below. I've also put a flyer up on social media. Also, if you're not on my email list, this is where I primarily connect to people for these types of offerings, especially if you don't want to be on social media. The email list is a great way to stay in touch with that kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, my cats are going nuts. Not surprising at all. So the lunar transit reading, you can find it on my website. You can just go to the website, you find the lunar transit reading and sign up for it. It's pretty self-explanatory on the website. And it just looks at your natal chart and the current lunar cycle that we're in, and certainly the next one, because we're going to have a new moon in Virgo that's also starting on the 6th of September. Sorry, cats are really distracting today. They are full of piss and vinegar as well as the rest of us. So if you're interested in that, $44, it's a pretty good deal considering how much gets packed into that reading. And we'll definitely look at this lunar cycle and the next one. So you're really getting a lot of information for a really valuable rate. So I really recommend that if you're looking to see how things are impacting you now, how things are going to impact you in the next lunar cycle, because as we start moving into September, October, November, December, Saturn and Pluto stationing direct, Neptune stationing direct, the eclipse season is coming in November and December, and especially the eclipse in November, because even though the nodal axis will still be Gemini and Sagittarius, the eclipse itself is going to be on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. So it's going to give us a highlight to what to expect when the nodal axis does shift into Taurus and Scorpio, which I am personally calling the Pleiadian revival. And there's going to be some more information about that coming out soon as we look at the months ahead. So that's a great way to see how things may be impacting you personally, what areas of your life these lunar transits, and not just the lunar transits, but everything that is packed into these lunar cycles, how they may be impacting you, what areas of your life they're going to potentially be impacting, and how you can mitigate some of things or be a conscious co-creator in this process. So these readings, they are concentrated into a small period of time, but a lot of information in the interim is able to come out. So sorry about the lighting, guys. I know it's like I look like Two-Face right now. So, but that's just what it is. And also we got solar weather on the way. We had some two CMEs that they're not projected to be very strong once it hits the planet, but who knows what's going to happen, right? But there is projected solar weather on the way. predicted to hit right around late tonight into tomorrow and the weekend. So be prepared for that as well. I know for me personally that I have very specific symptoms whenever solar weather is on its way. And as you'll see, the Schumann resonance is pretty baseline. That weakening electromagnetic field of our planet is really going to make this solar weather a lot more impactful. So it gives an idea of what to expect when maybe the big one comes and we have a very weak magnetic field. So, boy. And, bonus reading to anybody who can tell me what is the thumbnail image today. Bonus tarot, a little micro reading. If you can tell me exactly what that, what we're looking at here with that thumbnail image for this transmission. So, and that will be just like a micro reading. We'll do the card reading just like we do here. And I'll send you a little 15-minute video explaining what it's all about. So, I think that's interesting. To see if anybody knows what that imagery actually is. And if you're specific or even kind of not as specific, but kind of the general idea, I think I will take that as well. So first person to let me know what that is, give you a bonus micro reading. So let's get into the transmission for today. We will look at the reading. And you can feel it. You can feel things starting to ramp up a little bit, right? We can still, we can feel the energy coming in. It's coming in swift. It's coming in very active. And there, like I said, with the revelation of new potentials, it always comes out of some measure of chaos. But where are we in the midst of this chaos? Well, hopefully we are learning how to be the still point at the center of the turning wheel, right? The hub that is, not moving and is the still 0 point at the center. And there is, let's see here. All right, guys. There is some measure of victory here that is coming into this moment if we gave ourselves the opportunity to really take some respite yesterday, as we talked about, allowed the harmonization and the reconciliation on an emotional level to be in our hearts yesterday and really feeling the harmony of that, leading us to this very playful, enthusiastic, joyful, dancing with the flame, right? Dancing within the spark of our own creativity and passion. And we will see here that if that is something that we actively engaged with, we're gonna also see that coming into this moment, this causal factor is some measure of victory, either in our own personal lives, something that is manifesting outside of us. Any number of things could represent this victory that we see here with the Six of Wands. Also, too, just want to point out our friend the humpback whale is back right up here in the same exact position as yesterday. So we also can tell that vibration and song is so important right now. So important. Our vibration is so important. And I'm working on a piece about this right now. Like I said yesterday, it's one of those Virgo perfection things. Mercury is, like I said, is in a trine to Pluto today and is exactly in conjunction with my North Node. So the perfectionism in terms of what I have to offer is really getting on top of me in terms of communication and conceptualization. So I'm doing my best to really make sure that every T is crossed, every I is dotted, because I want the information to be well informed before I put it out. Because, it's one thing to just kind of spout off about, things that I'm thinking about or considering, and there's a lot of value in that that space that's unformed, right? And we talked about this yesterday with the opposition with Neptune and Mercury, right? Neptune being the great dissolver, right? The aspect of our cosmic consciousness, this transcendental experience of the collective and really dissolving ourselves into this collective process. Whereas Mercury represents our own individual nervous system, our own individual mind, how we conceptualize the reality, that is seemingly outside of us and how we make sense of things, the data that we interface with. It is our own inner magician, Mercury. And so we feel this tension about where we are, how we think about things, the way our mind is functioning. In this tension with this much larger, much more dissolved amorphous space that is the collective unconscious. And the tension there is, in fact, there to assist us to find the balance, right? The middle of the seesaw. We don't want to get so hyper focused on our own mental processes and the perfectionism and the details and the analytics. Those are very important, but it's all for service, right? We are meant to give ourselves over to the perfect form of balance. But we also don't want to completely lose ourselves, so we don't even know the difference between ourselves and others, which is very difficult with Neptune and Pisces. At least Neptune is retrograde right now, and the fog is cleared away as a result of that retrograde. And we can see things very clearly, even though we realize that we are swimming around in the soup of the soup of consciousness and the collective. So we want to find that midpoint. I'm just bringing this up because it's a challenge for me right now to not get caught up in every little detail and making sure that it's perfect as I am offering what I have in service to the collective. But what we'll see here with Mercury in a trine to Pluto, I know I'm getting ahead of myself with the astrology, but it's what's coming through right now. What we're going to see here in the trine to Pluto, this Earth trine, is that when we give ourselves over and fulfill what it is that we're here to do, and we receive some manner of recognition from the collective based on our individual service, this is finding a lot of traction and support with the destruction of the matrix that we are currently in right now. The institutions, the government, the corporations, all of the aspects of the physical fractal reality that we are part of, that we believe and erroneously think is all of reality, right? Capricorn may be the top of the chart, but it's not the end of the chart. So Pluto in its retrograde is pulling all of these things away within us, right? So that we can see within us how it then reflects back outside of us. And this will be so apparent when Pluto stations direct in October, along with Saturn. So it's what we have to offer, and it's important that we are meticulous, and we're going to see this in the reading. You can see it right here, the Seven of Scrolls at the root here, the intricacies in industry. The details are important, and the details of what we have to offer of ourselves are important, but it's also going to be very much supporting and supportive of the transformation that is really the power that Pluto represents. And so we won't have to really do much in terms of this. We just kind of have to allow these aspects to support each other. And I'll get way more into that because Eris is completely involved in this process too. Right now, like I said, the dwarf planet Eris, the goddess of discord and chaos, right? This is very much in our face today, and we'll look at that with the astrological aspects. But for now, let's get into the intuitive stuff, because this is really setting the stage for how we can address the astrology in a very conscious way and utilize what the offerings are of these cosmic cycles in a way that is conscious, right? As opposed to being a victim. And with Chiron in the mix right now, that is certainly right on the surface. So we see here, like I said, the causal factor, the Six of Wands, the victory, right? You can see all of these wands are balanced with each other. They're creating actually this diamond shape in the middle, right? And they each have a flame that's pointing up. You have each has a head, or the head of each staff has a reference here. You have, I don't even know what these animals are. There's definitely seems like a beak or some sort, so some sort of bird character. You have a flower here, and then you have the serpent on the bottom, and then the wings and the little Jupiter in Leo is what represents this card, the second decan of Leo, actually. So, and this red dot here definitely gives me this Jupiter vibe, expansion and good fortune, right? The benefactor and the advocate and the defender of our collective values. So the defender of our own expression, right? Leo is the representation of our expression and our passion. So if we allowed ourselves to have this respite yesterday, especially with Venus and Libra, finding that balance, allowing ourselves to really hold the harmony of really deep feeling and reconciliation. And then it allowed us to like let go a little bit, to play, to be more childlike, to be more innocent, to allow the flame of our passion to move through us and to let it guide us, right? Give us a pathway. And so now we find ourselves with this causal factor of victory, right? So it's a 6. So we know that we had to come out of some sort of difficulty with the 5. This is a lesson that was learned and turned into a victory, right? The past troubles that we've been experiencing have been necessary, for our growth and our development. So there's satisfaction, there's triumph, there's success, and there's a recognition that the strife that we've gone through in terms of our transformation, our creativity, has all been here to allow us to grow and develop. It's been a necessary resistance in order to do so. And if you remember, the 5 of Wands is Saturn in Leo. So right there's your resistance, right? Saturn. So there is a sense of victory, even if it's this small victory within yourself, that you overcame some manner of strife within yourself or you are experiencing outside of it. There is an upliftment today and an advocacy, right? Again, good fortune is what Jupiter represents, and the defending of the truth. And with Leo, it's the truth of ourselves, our own sovereign nature. So there is this element of victory here coming into the moment. And what do we have here at the heart of the moment? The cross section between our internal energetic field and what comes outside of us is at the heart, right? This is where the toroidal field comes out from, is our heart. And here's the Empress, Venus in Taurus, right? Fertility and growth and maternity and love and mercy. This is pure feeling, right? Venus is pure feeling in the fact that she represents, especially in Taurus, the sensitivity to the material world, right? And so this is the great mother. This is nature, the power of nature. And the power of nature is never stagnant. That's the other thing to remember. It's always in motion and it's always changing. And growth is part of the process as well as death. But this aspect is the whole enchilada, right? The entire process of natural growth. And there's joy here in great abundance and trust in the natural process. This is really important to consider, the trust. And number 3 here is the number of synthesis and harmony, right? The 3, the trifecta, the triangle, right? The complete balance. So at the heart here today, the Empress is here with us, the great mother. And we talked about yesterday, and many times I've talked about this, of connecting into the physical planet, into the essence of Gaia, into the earth herself, in order to be supported and guided through the process of her own growth and evolution. And she's here now. She's right here. And we are feeling this joy of abundance, especially with these victories that are coming into the moment here. And we're going to see that our cup runneth over, right? The 10 of Cups is what to expect here. Now, this is where more of the Virgo energy comes into play in terms of our own energetic polarity, okay? Because at the root here, under the surface, where we can really draw our power from, the 7 of Scrolls, intricacies in industry. You can see that what's coming so far is the scaffolding and the bare bones of what will be a massive undertaking, right? This large cathedral. And he's got the pillars already, and he's got the spire, the archway, but there's lots to do still. There's a lot more building material. There are plans. There's one set of plans that's open, and the builder over here, it's really hard to see, but he's got a plumb bob, right? And that is a tool or a device to make sure things are level, right? Measure twice, cut once. And so the 7 of Scrolls, right? The scrolls are here, the plans, they're the thoughts, they're the ideas, they're the action of our mind. So we're on our way to greatness, right? This is what's running under the surface within us energetically, where we can root ourselves and draw our power from. We're on our way, right? We're on our way to greatness. And you're going to see right at the top here is a number 7. So we're being flanked vertically by these 2 divine numbers of 7, the divine intervention. So we are on our way to greatness, but it requires attending to the details. This is a very Virgo type of thing, right? The details, especially with Mercury here. This is really important. Be diligent with the details and the specifics in your strategy and in your follow through. It's, the thing about Venus and Taurus and the Empress, as she has all of these beautiful qualities, but one of the things that tends to get forgotten or not acknowledged with the Empress is the fact that there's not a lot of thoughtfulness there. It's really based on pure feeling. She's not really thinking or being very thoughtful. And we tend to think of the phrase of thoughtful as like considering other people and being a nice person. And that's not to say that's inaccurate. What I'm saying is that Venus and Taurus and the Empress is all feeling. It's all attraction. It's all magnetic. It's just being. And there's not a lot of forethought with Venus in Taurus specifically. Now, Venus in Libra is a different story. We're applying our knowledge with Libra in order to find the perfect balance. Just like this contractor here, this builder, is using the tools available to him to make sure that things are level and balanced. You have to apply our knowledge of what that means and use our tools in order to find balance, okay? So, oh my God, the cats really are just like going nuts. I have to like break up their fight. Stop it. So small steps are important for big goals. And Mercury in Virgo is a great time to consider these things. And it has been, right? But now that we're getting towards the end of Virgo with Mercury, Mars is in Virgo as well. And this whole connection here with our Aries moon and Pluto involved in Aries, it's really important that we are not losing sight of the details. And in fact, that we are allowing ourselves to draw our power from this place of, measuring twice and cutting once. Be diligent with the specifics. Attend to the details. Realize that big things require one foot in front of the other. And with Chiron in the mix today, especially in its opposition to Venus, this has already happened. We'll look at the chart. It's going to be even more important in these moments to not get caught up in what hasn't happened yet, where we're headed, the potential within each of us, and acknowledge that it really does take one step at a time. When you're doing really large things, sometimes it's really hard to see progress when you are trying to create this huge thing and you're still at this stage, right? But it's reminding us that it's important that we don't lose sight of each of the details, right? And we can really draw our power from this place, because at the heart here we have this trust and abundance and joy and pure feeling of the great mother of fertility and nature. But again, there's not thoughtfulness here. There's not forethought. It's just pure feeling with the Empress. And these things are important. But if we have one without the other, this little victory that we may have experienced will, kind of fall by the wayside. We won't really get as much out of it as we may want to. So where can we focus our attention? Where is our attention right now? Here's another 7. Boy, this is very auspicious. The ascent, right? The ascension. It's with great effort and determination, we can apply ourselves to our goals. But it requires actual work, right? This person climbed this mountain with the use of specific equipment, right? He's got the rope, he's got his all of his climbing gear, right? And he's alone, right? Nobody else did this for him. This person climbed the mountain on their own. And yes, they had tools, they had equipment, they had training, right? They practiced and trained. But when it comes down to it, we each have to walk this path ourselves, and getting to the top of the mountain does not come without great effort and determination. So we may be rooted here in this attention to detail, specifics, one foot in front of the other, literally. And then as we move and release our energy, our conscious attention and focus is on where we're headed and the amount of energy and effort that it takes to get to this point, right? And the keys are very much related to the physical and material reality. And with this Earth trine involved with Mercury in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn, this is very much the material reality, how it's changing, how we are changing, how we are putting energy into the situation in order to get energy out of it, is very material. It's the nuts and bolts of our reality. So of course this can mean like actual physical resources, but energetic resources are part of this. All of the aspects of our, it's our health, our physical bodies, our financial resources, our energetic resources, our natural resources. All of these things are the nuts and bolts of our physical reality that we're working with. And we ourselves are building and applying ourselves to actual goals, right? That's a very Capricornian thing, is the goals and the ambition to achieve those goals. What's interesting right now is that as much as the Seven of Keys is an ascension upwards, with Pluto retrograde destroying, it's going to seem kind of counterintuitive, but that is on in a larger context of Capricorn, the larger institutions that we all contributed to. And so Pluto is tearing everything down within us in order for us to eventually see and be prepared for what's going to be torn down and expressed outside of us, manifested outside of us. And where Mercury is today in Virgo is the Seven of Scrolls, right? Paying attention to the intricacies, right? Paying attention to the details and realizing that we're not doing it just for ourselves. That's the real trap of a lot of things. We're doing it to offer it to humanity. It's our service. And when we fulfill this, there is the opportunity to be really recognized by this, right? And recognized beyond our own lifetime. And we got Pluto in the mix. We are talking about these very large cycles of death and rebirth. And so this is also something to keep in mind as we go through today. But in terms of our conscious awareness, our attention, and the release of our energy is towards this ascension, right? This singular process where we each put all of our energy and effort into and determination to get to the top, to reach our goal, whatever our goal is. So, and when we do so, oh boy, our cup runneth over, doesn't it? The 10 of Cups. So we know that the 10 is the beginning and end of a cycle. Mars in Pisces, right? Which is interesting because Mars is in Virgo, which is its opposite sign. Virgo is the opposite of Pisces. So Mars is in Virgo and is really giving us a lot. We talked about this yesterday, but it's still in the same degree that it's giving us a lot of determination. It's giving us a lot of courage and ambition. Again, this drive to really tap into our inner guidance, to be able to tap into the unconscious psyche and really get the thought forms that can inspire us and lead us in a certain direction. But Mars in Pisces, we're finding ourselves that with the waters of Pisces, right? These are the collective waters. This is the cosmic consciousness resting in the final grounds, seeking inner completion and fulfillment when we get to this point. And seeking, right? That's what Mars does. It's thrusting, it's penetrating, it's moving outwards, it's cardinal energy. And so Mars is seeking, looking for. And I mean, look at this card that not only did cup runneth over, but it is forcing its way out as well. So there's a lot of kindness and generosity in this sense of like spiritual warrior, right? With Mars in Pisces, right? I am seeking completion and fulfillment, of course, on a transcendental level, right? This cosmic consciousness. But the Mars point is all of us, that divine masculine within us that seeks and acts out and moves forward, is looking for this and is so full that it's actually like not just running over, but thrusting forward. And so, man, being satiated on an emotional level is something we're all looking for. All of us are looking for it. And in fact, it's really going to be a very strong resonance with all of these things combined here. This is very powerful today. So when it comes to some guidance here, now when it comes to intricacies in industry, like I said, it's really easy to get kind of too serious, get too analytical, get too hyper focused on the details, perfectionism, right? How many times are you going to measure? How many times are you going to make sure everything's level before you finally do, make the cut, right? We can get really caught up in Virgo, especially Mercury with Virgo. We can get really caught up in just measuring over. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. The Three of Roses is just like, remember to have fun. Right? If there's no joy in your life, like what is the point of any of this? Remember to have fun. And this goes back to yesterday's transmission with the Roadrunner, right? Find the humor, find the aspect that is fun and laughable, right? Remember playfulness in your daily life, right? We're very serious and we want to, get all of these things right. And we're very hyper focused on it, but we have to let go and have some fun. Right? Be playful. If we want to be inspired spiritually or by the elementals, we have to be like a child. So singing and laughing a lot, Sagittarius, I know the South Node is here and Juno is here. So one thing we can do to harness that energy, even though that's not the direction we're heading, it's certainly where we've mastered with K2 in the South Node, is laughing. Like really laughing, full belly laughs, right? Just not holding back at all. And call on the elementals to inspire you if you're having a hard time letting go and being so hyper focused. And I know that there's so much that we want to get right and we are very serious about. And I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't take it seriously. I mean, this is where we're rooting our power, but we want to be meticulous. We want to be detail oriented. We want every step along the way to be correct. But we can't lose sight of this playfulness and this fun and the laughter and the singing. We definitely want to bring this back in if we really want to actually enjoy this process. Otherwise, we're not going to enjoy it and we're going to feel like it's work, because it is. But we're also just, what is the point if we are not laughing, singing, and enjoying ourselves and being playful and like a little child, right? That is really the innocence we need to come back to. Now, with that in mind, we look at the dog, right? Whom do you serve? Your loyalty and faithfulness is misplaced by serving too many masters. Well, what if that master is like that serious part of you, right? Or that master is somebody else, like putting something down onto you, like you need to do this, that, or the other thing if you want this, right? Remember who do you serve? When you compromise your integrity through like any kind of attempt to either placate others or to because you're afraid of their disapproval, you deny your own inner authority, right? And we all have the capacity to do this work, right? We're all master artisans in some way, right? And we do have to be focused on what we are doing, but we also we need to be very aware of whom do we serve, right? Whose agenda are we serving? And are we compromising our integrity by trying to please other people? This goes out the window again when you start bringing more joy and laughter into your life, because then it kind of laughter, when you laugh, it's a vibration, it's expression through your vocal cords. It actually has an impact on the world around you. And when you do that, or when you sing, it dispels so much, it deconditions so much. And then so if we are compromising our integrity, if we're getting caught up in what other people are trying to tell us what to do, or we're afraid of their disapproval, we're afraid of losing something, we're afraid we won't have access to something, again, bring that joyfulness and playfulness and laughter into your life. And it deconditions so much just through the actual action of laughing. And parents will, of course, try to utilize their authority, which is very Capricornian, right? The overarching, paternal aspect of the parental axis, which is Capricorn, using that authority to provide boundaries, to guide the child into the right place, to give them guidance, to give them structure and boundaries. But the thing is that we tend to especially institutions that we give our power over to, they continue to project this parental authority onto us when there's absolutely no reason to do so, because we are all adult sovereign individuals. And even children, as much as people don't like to hear this, they are in fact sovereign individuals. Our job as adults and parents is to, again, provide structure, boundaries, guidance, and authority to keep them safe, of course, but we're not here to control them. And that is something that's going to continue to come up to the surface more and more and more, very much so. And again, whom do you serve? Whom do you serve? Are you serving your own joy, your own passion? Are you serving humanity through the intricacies and industry that you're involved in, or are you trying to placate other people? Again, being more joyful and laughing is really going to dispel a lot of that really fragile framework, to be perfectly honest, that is being destroyed by Pluto every single moment of the day. So just be mindful who you're loyal to. Where's your faithfulness? That's a very Cancerian thing, by the way. Loyalty and faithfulness is the Cancer archetype, not Capricorn. So that's something to consider as well. Here's our humpback whale. Music is essential. We already had this yesterday. So remember, song, vibration, singing, listening to music, playing an instrument, in some way engaging with vibration. And also, again, navigating through our connection to the electromagnetic field. The toroidal field of our very own planet is something that we can connect to and allow us to navigate. When we connect into the Schumann resonance, for instance, it is it allows us to also connect into the heartbeat of the planet. And the whales and the dolphins and even birds in particular, they have an organ. And I talked about this yesterday. They have an organ that allows them to migrate, because that organ is directly connecting to the electromagnetic field of the planet and how it shifts and changes and where it's stronger, where it's weaker. And it allows them to migrate successfully. We can utilize this concept, right? Especially with the Schumann. And it's been kind of difficult because the magnetic field is in fact weakening, which does impact migration patterns with all of these animals. And so that's something to consider as well. But maybe that is also our cue that we need to bolster our own field, right? We need to bolster our own field. And we do this through sound, through singing, through laughter, right? So this is really important for this to come up 2 days in a row like this in this position. And when it comes to the ascent, right? Because we do have to put some energy and some effort into this if we want to achieve our own goals. And along with that is, what is the goal here? We're talking about initiation into our highest selves. You know, Saint Germain is here, is shining the violet flame. It's got this violet halo around him, and he's initiating these people in front of him. And it's time. It's absolutely time. And so the loss of lower vibration situations, relationships, jobs, situations are going to have to be part of this if we want to step into this. Again, the singing, the chanting, the toning, the vibration that comes from singing and laughing is going to put our own field in the place we want it to be. And those other relationships will fall away. And sometimes it's really painful. Really painful. A lot of times it's really painful to let go, right? Or our fear takes over. We're fear of not being able to support ourselves if we have to walk away from a job that is supporting us and our family. Fear that we're going to be alone if we have to walk away from a partner or a spouse or, you know, a dating partner or friendships that we know are not resonating with us anymore, but we're so comfortable in them, or we are, this is my problem a lot of the times, is that when you are able to feel into the potential of people and you are holding space for them in a relationship for them to get there and they never do. I mean, it's really hard to walk away, but it's necessary. And if you want to get to the top of this mountain, this ascension process in your material world, whatever it is, we all do it alone, right? But we can all see each other on the top of these mountains, right? As we are all taking this journey together. So there is going to be a loss of these lower vibe relationships, of course. And it's time to bring in these practices: meditation, prayer, again, sound healing, singing, chanting, toning, whatever it is. And I would say specifically singing, chanting, toning, laughing, like laughter yoga. These disciplines that you create right now as part of this initiation are going to then be part of the upliftment of humanity and your service. So this is in a time of enormous uplifting, very enormous. And this is where our energy can be released, where our focus can be. And this initiation is right here with us. And if you're struggling, I would say, with the loss of these lower vibe relationships, if you want so desperately for certain people to come along and they have not made the choice to do so, again, the vibration from singing, from chanting and toning and laughter, I think will really not only help you find others that are in that same vibe, but it also help decondition a lot of the fear-based programming that keeps us from just letting go, right? Letting go so that we can actually go through our own ascension process, whatever that means to us. So, okay, guys. So let's look at the chart here and see what we got going on for today, the 26th. And we'll look a little bit too. I want to start looking at what's going on the following day as well as we go through this astrology, of course, because that's also part of the practice, is utilizing it to know what's ahead and how it's going to impact us. So, all right, my friends, here's the 26th. And we're going to see here another yod, right? Another finger of God right here. The sextile with the moon and Jupiter and the finger of God. Look at that, right to Mercury. That's very interesting. So let's, we'll go in the Wayback Machine here, and we'll start with we're going to start here with our, opposition with Venus and Chiron, which is, happening pretty much already just now. Whoops. All right, well, that's going to have to be dealt with later. So, sorry, guys. Let's see here. So we see our opposition, Venus and Chiron. So I've talked about where Chiron is a lot, and it's retrograde. So it's very much an internalized personal experience, something we're paying attention to more, something that we can't not pay attention to. And also consider the fact that when Chiron does station direct, it's going to go direct over all of these points. And so this is not going to be something that we are ready to let go of for a while, because this is an internalized process right now in terms of dealing with the wounding and the shame and the guilt of who we are, that Chiron wounded healer archetype, in reference to the potential that resides in all of us, the potential of who we are that's encapsulated in our ego consciousness, right? In our psyche, in our subjective experience of who we are. That is Aries, right? All the potential of reality exists within us in the polarity. So this opposition with Venus and Libra, who is in her rulership of Libra, right? And holding the scales of balance, using her sensitivity to the world around her to be able to actually feel when something is balanced, okay? And with Libra, we're applying our knowledge. We're applying our knowledge to a situation to find the perfect form of balance, okay? Now, this opposition, again, just like a seesaw or just like a tug of war, you want equal but opposite tension and energy in order to find perfect balance, just like the scales of Libra, right? You want to find the fulcrum. You want to find the middle of your seesaw. Now, for as much as we are constantly being triggered in terms of, I want to be somewhere that I know I'm going, but it's not there yet. Now, go back to that 7 of Scrolls in terms of where you can draw your power from, one step at a time. Now, the other thing about this opposition that's important to realize here is that Venus in Libra at this particular degree represents something very particular. It represents the ability to imagine, imagine, the use of imagination in order to see where we're going. People dream together as a preparation for acting together. It's playful, imaginative play. And Venus is, again, the mother, right? The great mother, especially in Taurus. And so if we want to find this perfect balance, right, especially in our material world, in our relationships, in what and whom we value, right, that's all, Venus is the great attractor, right? She's magnetic. She pulls it to her, and she also is able to feel what is going on outside of her. It's pure feeling. We can use this as a way, and our ability to dream together and to play together is how we can actually conceptualize perfect form. And it's going to be within the context of something very palpable with Venus, like I said, whom and what we value, whom and what we love, right? What makes us feel good? What is harmonious with us? What is it in our material reality that is balanced and harmonized with us? So we do, in our relationships, in our projects, in our resources, there is a sense here that we have to dream together in order to act together. And even though Saturn isn't really too much part of what's going on today, it will absolutely be part of what's going on tomorrow when the moon in Taurus squares Saturn. But this dynamic is part of where Saturn is right now too, which is the seer becomes the doer. And we have to be able to play and imagine it together first in order to actually act it out. The tension is that with Chiron, we are triggered into this shame and wounding of not enough because we haven't gotten there yet. And so we get kind of duped into acting on something and trying to have this immediate change to the status quo when that's not how these processes actually work in this dimension. Now, in the fifth dimension and beyond, that's a different story. But we're talking about here, right now, in this dimension, as we are making the transition. We have to be able to imagine it and play with each other in a way before we can even get there. And this is going to help balance us out so that we don't fall into the Chiron trap and then continue to try to blow things up, either figuratively or literally, in order to get to a place that we do know we're going to within each of us. Okay, so there's that opposition right there. Beautiful opportunity for healing and a reminder of how important play and playing together and the use of imagination is and the value of fantasy, right? Not hopium and not being like totally delusional. This is about playing together. And this is what kids do all the time, right? They play and they play pretend and it kind of sets them up. So this tension here today is really important so that we can, and not to devalue or to, again, we don't want to get totally delusional in the imagination. We do have to contend with our real wounding and our real feelings and value them and love them and honor them, right? That's a part of ourselves that needs to be recognized. And when Chiron retrograde, it's giving us a really good opportunity to pay very close attention to it and see it for what it is and show love to that part of ourselves, okay? So right from here, though, is where Mercury comes into its trine with Pluto, okay? Right here. And I've talked about this already, so I'm not going to go too much into it. But again, it's about, we're putting our minds to work here, our communication, our conceptualization, our attention to detail. And putting it towards our service to humanity, right? To the point where we are recognized in some ways. And that's not to say we should be doing these things as in order to be recognized, but it does represent social acknowledgement of a job well done and a destiny fulfilled. And so some measure of acknowledgement from the social sphere comes to us through our minds, through our communication, through our conceptualization of the world outside of us, public recognition, and being identified with an archetype that ensouled our public office, whatever that is, right? But this is still about Virgo. So it's about what we are each individually doing within the realm of ourself. And it's the ability to carry any task to its ultimate fulfillment. And so if we allow Mercury in its power right now to do what it's really meant to do, which is analyze and focus on the details one step at a time, and we can carry our task to its ultimate fulfillment, whatever it is. That's an individual journey. But we have to, the task has to be carried out with reference to the need of the collective, because that's ultimately what all of Virgo is representing. It's not about the individual for the individual's sake. The fruit is growing because it provides the seed point for the next cycle, right? You are doing everything inside. You are reconstituting yourself, repolarizing yourself, purifying yourself, disciplining yourself, becoming a disciple in some ways for the need of the collective. And when we do that, what we'll find here is that this is gaining a lot of support and traction with Pluto that is destroying all of the cultural and artistic aspects of our reality that we have relied upon. Traditions, right? It's traditions that we have relied upon that give us an ability to, interact with the rest of the reality, right? And so Pluto is tearing it all down within us, right? As in its retrograde. And so this trine today, this Earth trine again, is really it's going to seem at first, I think, that we are really giving something up, but in reality, what we are doing in terms of our own goals and focus and the specific details of what we are building, each of us, is really actually participating in supporting the transformation process that Pluto represents. And it's starting within us. And by the time, like I said, when it stations direct along with Saturn, that's when we're going to start seeing it outside of us, and there's a connection here to the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto that would happen in January 2020, right at the same basic degree that Pluto is going to station direct at. So there's a connection to that, except Saturn now will be in Aquarius, so it'll be in a much different position, but at the same time, there's going to be a connection here. So what we are doing, even though we may not see it all yet, and again, this opposition with Chiron and Venus is showing us that we have to at least be able to imagine it within the context of our relationships and our relations to each other in order to even get to that point. And so if we can imagine it, then Mercury and the realm of our mind and the conceptualization of the world outside of us, one piece at a time, right? One piece at a time, analyzing it, being meticulous, putting things where they belong. And when we're doing that in service to humanity, in fulfilling that, that's really going to support the ultimate transformation process of Pluto. Okay. So as we move along here, this is where it gets very interesting, because now this is where Eris comes into the picture. Okay, so we see here that the moon is in Aries, as I said, moving along here, and is going to make all this connection here, right? So here we have first the square to Pluto, the conjunction with Eris at the same time, and then the quincunx with Mercury at all of these degrees. So now that the moon, right? This is how we feel on the inside. This is how our intuition, our emotional landscape, our feelings, right? Now that has entered the picture, it is providing a lot of challenge, because where is this? This is the revelation of new potentials when we get to this degree of Aries, right? The possibility for us to gain experience at two levels of being. Now, this is where Eris is, the goddess of chaos and discord. It is through the chaos that we gain experience at two levels of being, right? Because it is the amorphous state of chaos that allows us to go from one state to a new state, right? And so we're kind of in the middle, and it's the chaos that is being instigated by Eris. You know, she rolls the golden apple in to the party that she wasn't invited to, right? And then everybody kind of starts going crazy, and you see everything for what it is. You know, Eris is rolling the golden apple in, and we are each having a very personalized experience of this coming in, this chaos that doesn't matter if you invite it or not, chaos will be here. It is the natural state of this universe. In order to find balance and homeostasis, there has to be this amorphous, chaotic field, right? So you can't keep it out no matter what you try to do. So we're having this personal experience today on some level, emotionally, intuitively, subconsciously, of this chaos, squaring Pluto, number one, because Pluto is just like, no, I'm just tearing it all down. I'm just tearing down everything that you have relied upon to give you structure and form and reality. And I'm tearing it down within you, right? So number one, you see that it's just tearing. And so the chaos, in some ways, the chaos seems like Pluto is instigating that as well. But chaos is even outside of the realms of life and death, right? Chaos is something even more than that, okay? And so Eris being further out than even Pluto, right? And so Pluto does represent a dichotomy, right? The ultimate dichotomy of life and death. Chaos is something even broader and more amorphous than that. And so as we feel this chaos within us, right, or we experience it, we realize that we can be in two places at once. The square to Pluto is just like, I'm showing you the one place, which is the destruction. Right? We haven't gotten to the transformation yet, but that's the power of Pluto, is it sets the stage for the transformation by destroying. The death is what precedes the rebirth. But this square today is where we're going to struggle because on the one hand, within us, we are existing in two places at once. The chaos is rolling into our lives in some way, even if it's in our subconscious, even if we're picking up on it from other people, it's still very much part of our personal experience. And then that tension with Pluto, right? That cardinal squares, these are in different directions. And when they meet each other, they're going to go off, you know, because it's going to be very difficult to exist in that chaotic field and accept it for what it is, while Pluto is like tearing down everything that we've literally stood on as solid ground in reality. Now, the Quincunx with Mercury, too, is the same thing, except that it's more of like the wild card. It'll force us to adjust. This is our alchemy moment with the Quincunx, right? Right here, this alchemy moment. So while we are existing in, that means Eris is squaring Pluto. That means Eris is in a quincunx to Mercury. It's just that the moon is going to bring that chaos right here into us. And so it's going to be very palpable in an emotional subconscious way, in a feeling based way. So, but Eris is still making these connections directly, squaring Pluto, and a quincunx to Mercury, right? We'll have to adjust ourselves in some way. Again, Mercury is focused on the analysis and the meticulousness and every step right in front of the other, one step at a time. That's what I'm trying to see. I can't even I'm getting ahead of myself because it's just coming through so swiftly. The quincunx, right? This alchemical moment that we get to utilize to adjust ourselves, to square the circle. How do we stay mentally focused on one step at a time, right? Measuring, being meticulous, being detail oriented, and in service to the collective as we are feeling this chaos within us. That is going to be where we adjust ourselves and we actually find our the trifecta when we square the circle, right? It's the circle of infinity, the square of reality, and then it's a Vitruvian man. And then the triangle, or the three angles of perfection and synthesis. This is where we get that from. And so this is it's very, very powerful today, this quincunx, and all this connection to Eris. And so, again, but it's going to be a personalized experience with the moon involved here. It's going to bring that chaos right into our feeling-based experience and making all these connections today. Now, this is where the yod comes from. This is amazing. Okay. It's just kind of, it's blowing me away. All right. So what we see here is the moon and Jupiter are in a sextile, right? In Aries and Aquarius. Jupiter in Aquarius, 27 degrees of Aquarius. This is the ability to really, to make every act sacred at the most basic level, living so close to nature. That's the thing about Aquarius. As you get into the later stages of Aquarius, it brings it back to the natural world, right? We tend to think of Aquarius as, obviously very innovative and futuristic and of course humanitarian, but it does have this electrical, alien kind of, even on the dark side of it, the hive mind, the AI type of thing. But when you get to the end of Aquarius, it brings it back to living in communion with the natural world. And so 27 degrees of Aquarius is about that. It's about the importance of these traditional skills, right? And the artistic values that are deeply rooted in our feelings. And it gives a frame of reference for very authentic emotions. And so Jupiter is retrograde, but it's expansive. It's expanding this within us. The delicacy of our feeling that is really the higher, when you get to the mastery levels of Aquarius is, in fact, because it is water, the water bearer, and it is the delicacy of our feeling or our water that Aquarius holds. So within us, there is a lot of support and fortune and advocacy within us, this delicacy of feeling. And so the sextile to the moon in Aries is about using, again, our imagination to regain a lost opportunity or what we think is a lost opportunity. So we're revising our attitude, right? Because of the chaos that comes into our life. And so sometimes the mind can be overstimulated and kind of obsessed with what it can do, right? All the things it can accomplish, especially when you step into a new realm of experience. But it also can easily fail as a result of that. But the failure may have been meant to challenge the emergence of this new capacity. Something new is coming in and it needs to be challenged. And sometimes we fuck it up. Sometimes we fail. And that's how we actually succeed, is by seeing how we failed, what didn't work, and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to try it this way again. And it comes through what? Our imagination, right? Remember with Jupiter, Venus and Libra, we have to be able to imagine with each other. We have to be able to play in order to really see what we can do together. And so the moon at this position is giving us an opportunity to revise our attitude, using our imagination to regain what seemed like a lost opportunity. Now, sextile, right? That's that 60-degree angle. That is the Star of David, right? The reconciliation of opposites, the harmonious connection that requires our investment into it. Jupiter is, the delicacy of our feeling, right? We have everything we need within us, and it's stressing the importance of this in particular when it comes to humanitarianism, when it comes to the future, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to a healthy collective, is going back to these values of feeling and natural living. And when we apply that and we invest that, especially with Jupiter, right, this is expansive. It's really expanding this within us. When Jupiter, we're able to make this investment of this energy and got all the backing. It's like Jupiter is the benefactor. Jupiter gives us the money and we take the money and invest it into regaining a lost opportunity by using our imagination. Again, here is the finger of God, because both of these, again, are in a quincunx to Mercury in Virgo, right? And this will be exact by tomorrow, right? So this is a great segue into tomorrow's astrology, because this aspect is going to be exact tomorrow, this quincunx. And so you see the finger of God, right? This opportunity here that this sextile is going to allow for the adjustment on both sides to where Mercury is, again, was very meticulous, very detail oriented, and really focusing on fulfilling a task that is meant to be offered to the collective. Our task is not for us. Our task and everything we're doing individually with Mercury we're each an individual magician, right? Everything we're doing is actually meant to be for the collective and the fulfillment of it. And so it does seem on some level that these things aren't fitting with each other, right? Aries and Aquarius, and then you have this mutable Earth. But really this yod, or this finger of God, is showing that the sextile, this investment here into the delicacy of our feeling, the importance of traditional skills and pure feeling, investing it in this opportunity to regain something through our imagination, is really going to help us alchemize these really in conjunct connections to Mercury that is very focused on building this thing, right? One foot in front of the other, being very hyper focused, and the perfectionism that can come about, even though we know we're doing this in an offer to the collective. We can get that tunnel vision, right? Of just like, I have to do this thing. And we want to take that step back. Our imagination is so important today. The pureness of our feeling is so important today. And Jupiter is going to support and represent that so much within us right now, and we can really regain something after the chaos hits, if we see it for what it is and realize that that delicacy of feeling and that imagination is going to be what really allows us it gives us the ability to keep going, right? To keep going and to use our intuition as well as our discernment and our discrimination. That's the thing about Virgo. It's both sides, right? It's discernment, it's discrimination, it's analysis, but it's also intuition. And this sextile is where the intuition comes into play. So tomorrow, when we come into tomorrow's astrology, number one, the moon's going to go void, of course, today, 5:15 Eastern Standard Time, right? And then come into Taurus. You can see it's already in Taurus by tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. So what are we looking at for tomorrow? Well, we know that the moon is going to, look at this, it's going to be an Earth trine to the sun, right? That's really very grounding, really supportive of the polarity within us when it comes to the nuts and bolts of reality. We have now the quincunx that is exact between Mercury and Jupiter. And when we get into the next degree of Virgo, let's just take a look real quick. One day I'll have all of this memorized. One day. And this is about, this is going to give us the framework to carry on something that's already been put into place, right? We've already started the process of building something and offering ourselves through the use of our mind and our ability to communicate. And then it's going to give, at this point, again, it's going to seem like these things don't fit together, but, there'll be a tradition, there will be some sort of framework that, it's like carrying on like a ceremony or something like that, that's been in place for a while. That seems very, that seems like you're just going through the motions, but it actually, when you have this in place, it allows for, honoring these formal procedures actually can have great value when there is a lot of chaos, right? And so even though Jupiter, again, like I said, is this expansive experience and representing this pure feeling and the importance of traditional skill in terms of a healthy collective, the alchemy moment here is going to be, how do we adjust ourselves by also our mind following these formal procedures that are already in place? And it's just a matter of going through the motions. Like sometimes going through the motions allows you to take your mind out of the process and be in the moment. And I think that's where we're really going to get the most alchemy from this situation, when the moon Mercury is in a quincunx to Jupiter. And of course, like I said, there's going to be a fixed square with the Taurus moon. Remember, Taurus moon, the moon is exalted in Taurus. It's going to be very happy here. So the square to Saturn is going to be part of this. And the big one, actually, that you don't see on this chart is that Neptune retrograde is going to meet Pallas Athena retrograde. And so the goddess of strategy and wisdom is going to be Neptune, the god of the oceans, right, in the same degree. And so there'll be, we will have this opportunity as well to really connect to a strategic and very wise approach to what we are substantiating from a cosmic collective unconscious, what we are bringing back into form from the formless as a result of our vital energy. And Pallas Athena, like I said, she is the goddess of wisdom and strategy. And so we will have this opportunity to really bring a strategy out of something that seems very amorphous and fluid and has no boundaries, which is, Neptune and Pisces. So we'll be talking more about that tomorrow. And of course, there will be a reading to go along with that. And we'll do tomorrow's transmission just like we do every day. Oh, and then we'll do astrology. Since I didn't do a transmission on Monday, I will do an intuitive read for tomorrow as well, but we will do the weekly astrology. So I will have your study guide up today at some point, right? And to utilize that, and we will do the transmission tomorrow. So thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Please take care of yourself today. Reach out if you're interested in a reading or energetic support through Reiki. And remember the flash sale for the lunar transit reading, $44, and you get a personalized reading for this lunar cycle and the next one for only $44. And that gives a lot of insight about how to maybe prepare in the short term and what areas of your life are going to be impacted the most, so that you are not caught off guard, but you are a conscious co-creator. So I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.